to introduce you to basic concepts of the theory of Carnatic music. I'm sure all of you are learners and beginners who've been learning Carnatic music for quite some time now. So this workshop or this session is mainly for you to understand all those concepts or basic concepts that you're singing, that you frequently have doubts about in a very simplified way. So I know a lot of you keep asking your teachers, and also I have some of my students also here, so who keep asking me basic doubts or few doubts which might be very difficult for you to understand while singing or while learning. So I thought this was a perfect way to help you understand these concepts better and to enable you to understand what you're singing in a much more simplified and an easy way. Okay, so currently all of you are on mute and your video is off, but please do not hesitate to unmute yourself and ask me for any doubt that you have. If you can write it down and ask it at the end of the session, that would be fine too, because in the previous session, we had a lot of time lag in between because of a lot of doubts that were being asked in between the presentation. So if there's anything that can be cleared at the end of the session, kindly write it down and then you can ask it to me at the end of the session. All right, so let's begin with why is Carnatic music very special? So I know all of you have your own reasons why Carnatic music is extremely special for you, but Carnatic music is one of the most divine art forms that is present, and we can proudly say it belongs to our country. Yes, and more so specifically, it belongs to our south part of our country, which is South India. So Carnatic music also enables you to understand our religion, our devotional aspects, lot of other stuff, or lot of other uh, religious and spiritual things associated with our Hindu culture. And Carnatic music is also a very common art form in South India, especially in the southern states of our country. So it is pursued as a hobby, it's pursued as a passion, and a lot of people learn it to ease their stress, to ease their mind, and it's also a very easy way for us to reach or follow a divine path as well. So a lot of reasons, each I'm sure have your own reasons for uh, learning Carnatic music and for passionately following it. And I'm sure that is the main reason which brings you all here for this session. And yes, so at the end of this session, I'm sure that you people will be able to understand and appreciate various commonly used terms in music. And yes, so at the end of the session, you will be able to understand and appreciate about the various commonly used terms in music. One second. Yes, about the swarasthanas and scales, about talams, about all our famous composers, and about the formation of ragams, and also about the structure of the compositions and about different types of gamakas. So I think these are the basic concepts which a lot of students struggle with to understand and to know what they are singing. So this, I'm sure at the end of this session, all these topics will be covered, and I'm hoping that you will be able to understand all these things in a very simplified and an easy manner. All right. Okay, so let's start with introduction to Carnatic music. So we all know that we also know of the seven swaras or the sapta swaras. So we know them as most of us know it as sa, ri, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. So do you all know that we have names for it? So it's not just sa, ri, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. We have their names. We have names for those syllables. So sa is called as Shadjam, Ri is called as Rishabam, Ga Gandharam, Ma Madhyamam, Pa Panchamam, Da Daivatam, Ni Nishadam, and Sa as Shadjam. So these are the terms I think all of you should be well versed with. So as a student of music, you should know that sa, re, ga, ma is not just a syllable, but they have their own specific names. So Shadjam, Rishabham, Gandharam, Madhyamam, Panchamam, Daivatam, and Nishadam. So the swarams which go in the ascending order, that is from the lower level to the higher ones, the sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa, that is called as an arohana. And the swarams which come as the descending order, the ones which come from the top to down, is called as an avarohana. So you must all have learned different types of ragams in which they start with the arohana and avarohana. Even if you haven't learned other ragams, there are few students who are still in basics. So for you all also, you know that your Swarams or your Jantaswarams, everything has the first part of it going in the ascending order and the second part of it going in the descending order. So the ascending order of swaras are called as arohana, and the descending order is called as the avarohana. Okay, so these swaras are sung in something called as a scale. A scale is nothing but set to one particular frequency. So there are a lot of names for the scales. You can call it as an octave, you can call it as a scale, you can call it as a sthai. Also, Tamil speaking people will probably understand the word kattai. They say kattai, the word kattai, which also means another very commonly used term for the letter for the term octave or for the term scales. All right. So you must be aware of all the denominations or all the this ones you get in your Shruti box, right? The markings in your Shruti box or the Swara Tambura app that you use on your phone. So what it is? So these are nothing but the scales. So what we sing, they are comprised of all these scales. So we start off with, when we sing, a female singer sings, the ideal Shruti we sing is G or G hash or A, right? So the ones that are lower than that, that is the F hash, F, E, that goes lower. So they are also denoted by numbers. So G is denoted by the number 5. G hash is 5.5. A is 6. I'm sure you all are aware of the Shruti box markings in your Shruti box or in your phone Tambura app. So usually from F sharp to A is where is an ideal female Shruti. So from F sharp, that is 4.5, G is 5, G sharp is 5.5, and A is 6. So this is a ideal female octave or female Shruti. Also, we should note that this portion of Shruti is used for children as well. So even children sing in this, irrespective of a female voice or a male voice. But whenever the voice changes or the voice frequency changes for a male, which is after 11 or 12 years of age, that's when their scale comes down, which is E or D sharp or D or C. So whenever there's a duet singing going on in your film music or any other form of music, when there is duet singing going on, the female singer sings in the female Shruti and the respective lower Shruti is what a male singer sings. So we should note that from F hash to A is what is an ideal female Shruti or a Shruti that is used by children. So anything that is lower than that is sung by male singers. All right. Okay. So now we spoke about the swarams, the names, also what are the scales. So we also know that there are 5 octaves. I'm sure you have learned in your basic lessons, which is the upper sthai or the male sthai verse, where you have an introduction to the taras sthai or the higher octaves for us, right? So in music we have five octaves or 5 scales. So the one which we are currently singing in your basic lessons, in your first Sarli Versailles or Janta Versailles, is the middle octave. It is called the Madhyasthai. So sa ri ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa. So that is the middle scale or the Madhyasthai, which we call in music. Okay, so we know that there is a scale above that and there's a scale below that. So the scale above that we find in our upper sthai verse, which we learn in music. Sari gama pada ni sa 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 dani sari sani da pa dani sari ga ni sari. In those basic swara exercises, we do learn swaras that are above the madhyasthai. So we have names for it. So the scale that we sing in between the middle scale is called as the madhyasthai. The notes which come above that, the higher ones are called as the tarasthai. So similarly, the ones that come immediately lower to that is called as the mandarasthai. Okay, so we should also remember that there is a scale that exists above tarasthai and also below mandarasthai. So above tarasthai is called as an ati tarasthai and below mandarasthai is called anumandarasthai. So this anumandarasthai and ati tarasthai cannot be reached by human voice. So when it is used, so it is used only by instruments, in veenas or in violin, in sitar, in any instrument you can produce the second lower octave, which is the anumandarasthai, and the second higher octave, which is the atitarasthai. So when we see the music notations or the music books, we note how do you know whether the swaram is in the tarasthai or is in the mandarasthai. So you have representation. So when there is one dot above the swaram, it is called as the tarasthai, which means it is in the higher octave or the higher scale. And if there are two dots, which I'm sure we wouldn't have seen in our books. Okay, so in most of our books, so when there are two dots above the swaram, it is the ati tarasthai. Similarly, if any swaram has a dot below it, it is the mandarasthai or the lower octave, and the double dot below a swaram is called the anumandarasthai. So a human voice with extreme practice and good practice can reach the complete tarasthai scale and the complete mandarasthai scale, but cannot reach the atitarasthai or the anumandarasthai. But these two extreme, the final atitaram and anumandarasthai, are used mostly and can be produced in any instrument that we learn. All right. Okay. So these seven swarams which we learned just now, the names of these seven swarams: Shadjam, Rishabham, Gandharam, Madhyamam, Panchamam, Daivatam, Nishadam, and Shattam. Shadjam. So this Shadjam, Panchamam, and the top Shadjam, the ones which are labeled in red, they are called as Shuddha Swaras, Shuddha Prakriti Swaras or Prakriti Swaras. Why are they called Shuddha Swaras? Can anybody answer? Why are they called Shuddha Swaras? Shadjam, Panchamam, and the higher Shadjam. Any guesses? Can anybody reply? Why is it called Shuddha Swaras?
As they don't have any vibrations.
Yeah, yes. I don't know who answered it. Is it Shruti?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Yes, that's right. So it is called Shuddha Swaras because Shadjam, Panchamam, and the other Shadjam do not have any variations, which means all of music, there is only one sa and one pa. We do not have sa one, sa two, pa one, pa two, no. Which is exactly why when we start learning singing music, we start off by singing sa pa sa, right? So that's why we sing sa pa sa, because sa pa and sa do not have any variations in all of music, but the re, ga, ma, da, and ni have variations, which is why they are called as vikriti swaras. What do you mean by variations? Variations means there are two types of V's, two types of Gas. Two types in the sense that there are two places. So re is not just sa, re. There's one more re. Re. So they are named with numbers. So you would have noticed in all your books where you can find numbering beside those swaras. Re 1, ga 2, ma 1, ni 2. So what are those? Those are nothing but swarasthanas, the sthanam or place of the swaram. So imagine if all the seven swaras had no variations and all were in the same place, would not the entire music sound same? Right? What differentiates one ragam from the other is nothing but the swara variations and the combinations of these variety of swaras. So some ragas can have re 1 and ga 2. Some ragas can have re 2 and ma 2. So these different type of combination of swarams with various swarasthanas is what forms so many different ragams. Hence, this Rishabham, Gandharam, Madhyamam, Daivatam, Nishadam, these 5 swarams are the only swarams which have variations, right? So when these re, ga, ma, da, ni have variations, two variations each. So sa, shadjam, re one, re two, ga one, ga two, ma one, ma two, pa, da one, da two, ni one, ni two, and sa. We get something called as the 12 scales. Okay. So what is 12 scales? So when you count those Re 1, Re 2, Ga 1, Ga 2 completely from Shadjam to the top Shadjam and include the varieties or the variations of this Rishabham, Gandharam, Madhyamam, Daivatam, and Nishadam, something called as 12 Swarasthanas come. Okay, but there is also names for these. Okay, we just should not refer to them as Rivan, Gavan, or Matu, just like how these Sari, Gama have their own complete names, Shadjam, Rishabham, Gandharam. These Re1, Re2, Ga1, Ga2 also have their names. So what are they? So that's what we are going to learn here. So Re, you have Shuddha Rishabham and Chatusruti Rishabham. In Gandharam, G1, Gandharam Ga1 is called as Sadharana Gandharam. Ga2 is called as Antara Gandharam. Similarly, Madhyamam, Ma1 is called as Shuddha Madhyamam. Ma2 is called as Prati Madhyamam. Similarly, Daivatam, Da1 is named as Shuddha Daivatam and Da2 as Chatusruti Daivatam. Nishadam, Kaisiki Nishadam and Kakali Nishadam and Shadjam. So when we add up all these Swarasthanas, including the Shadjam, Panchamam, and Shadjam, which comes afterwards, it comes to 12 Swarasthanas. All right. So whenever we learn our music, ensure that you know the names of your swaras that you're singing, and if possible, do know the names of the swarasthanas as well. So what is Rivan? What is Gavan? So it is very difficult for you to explain by just using numbering. So it's very good as a student for you to know the names of this Rishabham and Gandharam, and even better if you know where they are placed. So moment we sing Ga, you should know which Ga it is. Moment I sing Ma, you should know which Ma it is. So that comes constant listening, constant comparison, and frequent practice. But initially, as a beginner or as a learner, knowing the Swarasthanas and knowing the names of the Swarasthanas is more than enough. All right. Okay. So we just spoke about the 12 scales or the 12 Swarasthanas. Actually, there are 16 Swarasthanas in number. So since this is a basic course, I don't want to get too deep into what 16 Swarasthanas are because a lot of you have not reached the level of understanding 16 Swarasthanas. But I will just give an overview about it. So when we have imagine this to be a staircase, Sa, Re1, Re2, Ga1, Ga2, right? So there is something called as Re3 also. So Re3 is not a separate swaram. When Re takes the place of Ga1, you can note it in this picture, okay? So Sa, Re1, Re2, okay? So when Re3 takes the place of Ga1, that becomes a new swaram. We cannot, if Re takes the place of Ga1, you cannot have two Re's, right? Simultaneously in a swara. Sa, Re, Ga, we cannot have it. So what happens is that Re becomes Re3 and then the Ga's numbering changes. Not to get too confused, it's just an introduction of one extra swaram. It is not a separate swarasthanam. It just sometimes Re and Da take the place of Re takes the place of Ga1 or Da takes the place of Ni1 when it becomes, instead of becoming a separate swaram, we name it as Da3. A perfect example for that is Ragam Natai. I don't know how many of you have learnt Ragam Natai. In that is a perfect example for both Re3 and Da3 featuring. Sari, that is actually Ga1. We say Re, but the Re takes the place of Ga1. That's when it becomes Re3. Okay, there are not too many ragams in this. There are a few very important ragams which take the scale of the third swarasthana of Re or Da. And we should know that only Rishabham and Daivatam takes this place. Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da. So that Da is nothing but Me1. It is taking the place of Me1. So we denote it as Da3 because it is easier to understand that way, that it is not Da1 or Da2. It is taking the place of Me1, hence it is Da3. I'll not go into too many details because a lot of you will not understand this, but this is just to understand that first, the one which we learned are the basic 12 Swarasthanas, but there actually exists 16 Swarasthanas. Okay, all right. So the next topic, I think till here, is it clear? Is there anything? If you have any doubts, please do not hesitate to unmute and ask me. All right. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, which is the Melakarta Raga. So what is a Melakarta Raga? How many Melakarta Ragas are there? What Ragam constitutes and gets the status of a Melakarta Raga? Okay, so there are 72 Melakarta Ragas in music. So what it is? 72 Melakarta. So Melakarta is also there are different terms for it in music which is also used. So you can call it as Janaka Ragas or you can call it as parent ragas. So there are 72 main Melakarta parent ragas from which all the other ragas are born. So the number of Janaka or the parent ragas are 72 in number. Okay, so they are divided into two halves, 36 plus 36. So the first 36 have Ma 1 in it and the second 36 have Ma 2 in it. Okay. All right. So I will go into the details of what Melakarta ragas are, how they are formed, and how they are categorized into the 72 Melakarta scheme or the 72 Melakarta table. Okay. So what these 72 Melakartas are, they are called the parent ragas or the Janaka ragas, from which are born many ragas. So those ragas which are born from these parent ragas are called Janya ragas. Janya means in Sanskrit means born, giving birth, right? So these ragas which are born from the 72 Melakartas are called Janya ragas. Now there are lots of types of Janya ragas. So few of them are Audava ragas. So Audava ragas are nothing but when the Arohana have only 5 swaras. Perfect example for it is Mohana Ragam. Sa ri ga pa da sa, sa da pa ga ri sa. So we have only sa ri ga pa da, only 5 swarams, right? In the Arohana and Avarohana. So they are called Audava Ragas. You have Shadava Ragas. Shadava Ragas means the Ragams which have only 6 swaras in the Arohana and Avarohana. You have Niroshta Ragas. Niroshta Ragas are those ragas which do not have Ma in them, right? Okay. Also, you have various combination like Audava Shadava Ragas, which means the Arohana has 5 swaras and the Avarohana has 6 swaras, or Audava Sampurna Ragas or Shadava Sampurna Ragas. Similarly, Shadava Audava Ragas. So you have a lot of these combinations where the name Audava means all you have to remember is Audava means 5, Shadava means 6. Okay, so these ragas are based on how many swaras are there in the Arohana and Avarohana of the raga. All right. Okay. So we have spoken about Melakarta ragas, nothing but the parent ragas and the Janya ragas which are born from these. Okay. So now there are a few characteristics of a ragam. So again in this, it's a very, very deep topic which we won't delve too much into, but there are certain terms or certain technical terms which are associated with a ragam which you should be aware of. So we start off with the Grahaswaram. Grahaswaram is nothing but the starting note of a raga or a sangati. So this can be explained by when we sing raga lapanas. Again, a lot of you wouldn't have reached that stage, but raga lapana, when we start off say tadara na 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 tadara na ga ga ma ga ga ga. So we started off Shankaravarnam Ragalapana with the swaram Ga. So Grahaswaram in Shankaravarnam is Ga. So every raga has a swara which is preferred or used not only in Ragalapana but also by a composer to start the kriti in, to start composing the kriti in. So that swarams are called as the Grahaswaram. So there can be 1, 2 or more Grahaswarams in any raga. Okay. So the next is the Jivaswaram. Okay, so there are some ragas in which there is one swaram or two swarams which particularly add life to the ragam, or you can also say that moment you hear that swaram, you will know okay, this is definitely this ragam. So we can take an example of the ragam Begada. Sa gari ga ma pa da pa sa sa ni da pa ma gari sa. So though we have ma one in ragam Begada, in Begada ragam the ma gamakam, the gamakam that we give to mice ma pa. So it's very very evident that it belongs to the ragam Begada. So for instance, the ragam Arabhi, in ragam Arabhi in the Avrona we don't have the ni and the ga is almost in the previous one. Sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa sa ri ma pa da sa sa ni. So we are saying ni, but we are singing it in sa sa ni sa. So such ragams are jiva swaras which add a life, and when we moment we hear that swara, we know okay, this belongs to so and so ragam. So this is the ragam that this swaram belongs to. Okay, so such swarams are called as hamsa swarams or jiva swarams. Similarly, mandra or tara, which you have already learned. I have told you about it in the octaves, the lowest and the highest point of a ragam. Nyasa swaram. So when we sing a raga lapana or when we sing a kriti, we are ending the pallavi or when ending the anupallavi. We cannot end it in any swaram. So there are some swarams which are apt to end a kriti or apt to end a varnam or end a raga lapana. So that's those swaras are called as nyasa swaras. Okay. So the next apanyasam, sanyasam, vinyasam. So all these are the different types or different characteristics of raga. Vinyasam is a note which is used to show the color of the raga. So these you will probably better understand when you are into kirtanas or when you are into ragalapanas, when you are able to create your own manodharmam or your own ragalapana. That's when you will understand it much better. But only to know that there are a lot of colors or lot of faces or a character to a ragas, and they in music are called trayodasa lakshanas, which means that there are 13 tri and dasa 10. So trayodasa lakshanas. So basically any ragam has 13 characteristics to it. So the more deeper you go into learning one particular ragam and learning to sing the alapana or sing the manodharma sangita in that particular ragam, you'll be able to understand these characteristics much better. Okay, so we spoke about the 72 Melakartas. So let's go back to how this Melakarta Ragam evolved. Okay, so anybody can have a doubt saying why there are only 72 Melakartas, why not more, why not less? Okay, so back in 1550 AD, Ramamadhya, he knew of only 19 Melakartas. So when he wrote about Melakartas, he thought that there was only 19 Melakartas that existed in his writing Swara Melakalanidhi. Okay, after which Venkatamaki, who was belonged to the 17th century, he in his book Chaturdandi Prakashika wrote of the the remaining the much more Melakartas. So it's not only 19, it was more than that. And he brought something called as Katapayadi Sankhya or Katapayadi scheme or Katapayadi formula, which I will be dealing with it in the upcoming slides. So Katapayadi Sankhya, he brought a proper structure to the Melakarta, but his Melakarta ragams also had Asampurna Melakartas, which means that it had all types of ragams in it. But only in the 17th century, which was Govindacharya, who brought the entire 72 Melakarta scheme completely, the Sampurna Mela. Okay, what should be noted that Muthuswami Dikshitar, we know of the composers, the Trimurtis in music, right? Muthuswami Dikshitar, Tyagaraja and Shama Shastri. So Muthuswami Dikshitar still in his compositions has followed the Venkatamaki style of the ragas, which is the Ansampurna Velams. And we should also note that in his kritis, a lot of ragas which we know of with the new name right now is not used in his kritis. He uses the old names. So you may wonder why the old names are there. So that belong, those old names and the old ragas belong to Venkatamaki's writing or understanding or his writing or his uh, what he found out about the 72 the Melakarta scheme. Of course, but after that, Tyagaraja and Shama Shastri followed the Govindacharya style, which is the new Melakarta system. Okay, so now we go back into what is the 72 Melakartas or what are, how are they sequence and how are they put into a table. Okay, so these 72 Melakartas, which I already told you now, the 72 Melakarta or the parent ragas are divided into two sections, 36 plus 36. First 36 have the Shuddha Madhyama, Ma 1. The first 36 ragams feature only Ma 1 and the second 36 have Ma 2. Now these 72 Melakartas are divided into 12 chakras having 6 ragas each. So what are these chakras? Okay, so these chakras were an easy way to denote the ragams, their swarasthanas, their numbers in in uh, Govindacharya's new Melakarta scheme. This is how he formulated the scheme for the 72 Melakartas. So they were divided into 12 chakras. First chakra's name is Moon. So we should note that these 12 chakras were uh, named as per the number. So moon. So there is one moon. Second chakra is named as Netra. So we have two eyes, right? So it's very easy this way. So when you know the chakra name, you know which number the chakra is. So Netra is the second one, which means 2. Agni, 3. Veda, 4. So we have 4 Vedas, right? So that is the name of the fourth chakra. Bana, Pancha Bana, 5. Okay, Ritu is the name of the sixth chakra, which is seasons. We have 6 seasons. 7. The seventh chakra's name is Rishi, Sapta Rishis, right? Vasu, 8. 9 Brahma, 10 Disi, directions. We should note how relevant it is to today's context as well. This was formed way back many years ago, but these chakras also play extreme relevance to the current. We have 10 directions, so it was called Disi. The 10th chakra was named Disi. 11 forms. So we have Shiva, which is why it's called Rudra Egadasi, which means that yes, 11 forms of Shiva and 12 suns. That is the 12th chakra is called Aditya. So nothing to get confused in this. The 72 ragams were put under these 12 chakras with 6 ragas coming under each chakras. If you notice the left side, you will know there are 6 ragas in each chakra. So Indu chakra had 6 ragas, has 6 ragas. The second Netra chakra has 6, like that. So 12 chakras, each chakra with 6 comes to 72 Melakarta ragas. Okay, so let's understand what these 72 Melakartas are. So we have to understand that not all ragams qualify as a Melakarta raga. So what do you require for it to be? How can you know that, okay, how do you know that a particular ragam is a Melakarta ragam? How do you know it is a parent ragam and it's not a Janyan ragam? It is very simple. One, it has a few requisites for it to get a status of a Melakarta ragam. One, it should be a Sampurna ragam. Sampurna ragam means it should have all the 7 swaras, both in the Arohana and the Avarohana. Second, it should not be in a haphazard manner, in the sense that the swarams should all be in the same order. It should be Sarigama Padanisa, Sanida Pamagarisa. You might have known many ragams which have all swarams, but they are not in a organized form. You have Begada, you have Sri Ragam, you have Kannada, you have so many ragams in which the swarams are Sagari, Gama, Pada, Pasa. It may have all the swarams in it, but it's not in order, right? So a Melakarta ragam not only should have all the 7 swaras in the Arohana and Avarohana, it should be in order. Also, it should not have any foreign note, in the sense that many ragams which have 2 mas or 2 das or 2 nis, right? So a Melakarta ragam should also have all the swarasthanas in only one form. So you cannot have 2 gas or 2 mas or 2 das in a ragam. So any ragam which falls under this category of being sampurnam, being in order and not having any foreign note will qualify as a Melakarta ragam. So this was consolidated by Govindacharya, and he came to a conclusion or to an evidence that there are 72 such ragams which have these characteristics. Okay, so these are the name of the ragams: Kanakangi, Ratnangi, Ganamurti, Vanaspatima. So you have 72 ragams like this. And if you notice the scale or the Arohana and Avarohana, you notice that it all has Sarigama Padanisa in order. Okay, so how do you know which ragam belongs to which chakram, right? So this is a very simple way for you, for anybody to learn the 72 Melakarta scheme or the 72 Melakarta ragams. So we can note that in the first chakram, all the Rivan and Gavan is same. So if you take a ragam and you find if you see a ragam and you find Rivan and Gavan, automatically you know it belongs to the Indu chakra. So that is how beautifully it has been uh, schemed, and it has been well written in the form of a table for any learner or a student or anyone to understand. So if you want to know how one ragam, which chakram it belongs to, or what is the Melakarta number of ragas. So suppose suddenly I tell you that Denuka, Ragam Denuka. So how do you know it is the ninth Melakarta Ragam? How do you know it belongs to the second chakram? So there are a few tips for you to know it very easily which chakra it belongs to and which number it belongs to. So first, when you see a ragam, you should notice whether it is Ma1 or Ma2. Which Ma does it have? So if it is Ma1, it belongs to the first half of the Melakarta scheme, the first six. Okay, and if it's having Ma2 or the Pratimadhyamam, it belongs to the second half. Okay, then notice what is the Ri and Ga. So if it is Ri 1 Ga 1 combination, it belongs to the first chakra. If you see the second chakra, it is Ri 1 Ga 2. If you see the third chakra, it will be Ri 1 Ga 3. So based on what the Swarasthanas of Ri and Ga are, you can easily fit it into which chakra it is. Then, of course, I spoke to you about Ma. If it is Ma1, the first half, Ma2, the second half, then you should notice what is the Da combination. So Da and Ni take the combination of, you would have studied permutation combination in maths, right? So it is the first three are Da1, Ni1, Da1, Ni2, Da1, Ni3. The next three will be Da2, Ni2, Da2, Ni3, and the last one will be Da3, Ni3. So all possible combinations. So that is how very easily the ragams fit into those particular chakram. Okay, so now how do you know which number it is? So there was something called as Katapayadi Sankhya or Katapayadi formula, which was not only used in music, it was used outside music as well, for you to understand very easily what number. If I say now, if I tell you Maya Gaula, how will you know which number of Melakartara it is? So they formed something called as the Katapayadi Sankhya. Venkatamaki found out this formula, which was very, very easy for anybody to know which Melakarta Ragam number it is. Okay, so for instance, we take the Ragam Shankarabhanam. So what is this table? This table is nothing but you have your vowels in your languages, right? Hindi, Telugu, Kannada, I'm sure. Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, jhana. You have those vowels, right? So they have been placed among this in this table from 1 to 0. So what he has done is that he has written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, and he has placed ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, jha, those vowels in order in this form under those numbers. So in we know the ragam name as Shankarabharnam. The actual name of the ragam is Dheera Shankarabharnam. So when we take the first two syllables of the ragam, dhi and ra. So where does dhi, dha, the syllable comes under the number 9. Okay, ra, the number the vowel comes under the number 2. So when you reverse it, 9 and 2 becomes 29, which is the Melakarta number. So when you notice the Melakarta table, Shankarabharnam, Dheera Shankarabharnam will be the 29th ragam in the table. I'll give you one more example. Kalyani. Okay, so the word, we know it as Kalyani, but the word Mecha was added. So in a lot of ragams, there was a word prefixed to the ragam for it to fit in the Katapayadi Sankhya. Okay, so we all know the ragam as Kalyani, but the actual name is Mecha Kalyani. So if you want to know which number is Kalyani, which is the Melakarta number for the Ragam Kalyani, we can take the first two syllables, Me and Cha. So the word Me, that is Ma, comes under the number 5. Okay, Cha. comes under 6. So 5 and 6 when you reverse it becomes 65, which is the Melakarta number for the Ragam Mechakalyani. Okay, so we have done a lot of listening very quietly. So let me just quiz you all. So let me know who can reply what is the Melakarta number for the Ragam Shanmukapriya. So try to fit the word Sha, okay, Sha and In, Na to the respective numbers. And please tell me what could be the Melakarta number for Shanmukapriya. Anyone? Take your time. Sha, where does the word Sha come under which number?
5.
And yes. Na. 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 Sha, Chan, Na, right? Yes. So Sha comes under the number 6 and Na comes under the number 5. So when you reverse it, it is 56, right? So the Melakarta number for Shanmukapriya is the 56th Melakarta Ragam in your table. Okay. What about Maya Malavagaula? That's a simple one. So who is going to answer? What is the Melakarta number for the Ragam Maya Malavagaula? Fit the two vowels, the first two.
Is it 15?
Yes. Yes, that's right. 15. And can I know who answered it?
Aishwarya.
Yes. Aishwarya. Yes, right, Aishwarya. It is 15. So how is it 15? Ma. Where does Ma come under? The number 5. Ya comes under the number 1. So when you reverse it, it is Maya Mala Gala. I don't see Samiksha, Sanjay Shruti answering. So here. So tell me the Melakarta number for the Ragam Hanumatodi and Charukesi.
8.
8, right. Okay, Hanumatodi is 8. So how did we get 8? The letter Ha comes under 8, right? And Nu, that is Na, again comes here under number 0. So 0, 8, 8, 0 when reversed is 0, 8 and it is Hanumatodi. So what is the Melakatta number for the Ragam Charukesi?
Ma'am, 26.
26, that is right, Samiksha. Yes, so Cha comes under. So isn't it very simple, right?
Yeah.
Very simple for us to understand what number Melakarta it is. So this Katapayadi Sankhya is a very, very simple and a very efficient way for us to understand which number is the Melakarta Ragam or which number Melakarta does it belong to. Okay, so yes, right. So we learnt about Melakarta ragams, right? So there are a lot of different types of ragams. So Melakarta, as we know, is the parent ragam, which has all the 7 swaras. So it gives birth to many ragas, right? Janya ragas. So these Janya ragas are classified into many forms. The first form is the Upanga ragas. What are the Upanga ragas? Upanga ragas are those ragas which take the exact same swarasthanas as the parent ragam. So I've given some examples: Mohanam, Abogi, Hamsadwani. Okay, so all these ragams take from whichever parent ragam it is born, it takes the exact same swarasthanas. So those ragas are called as Upanga ragas. The next category of ragas are called Bhashanga ragas. Those Bhashanga ragas are nothing but they take a foreign note or which is called as the Anya Swaram. So we know of many ragams which have two mas or two das, right? Bhairavi. Sari Gama Pada Ni Sa Ni Da Pa. So in Arohana we have Da 1. In Avarohana we have, sorry, in Arohana we have Da 2 and Avarohana we have Da 1. So I'm sure its parent raga will not have both the das, right? Because it will not qualify as a parent raga if it has two swarasthanas of the same sort. So any ragam that takes a note, a foreign note or an anya swara, we call it in music. So an anya swara which does not belong to its parent ragam, those type of ragams are called as bhashanga ragas. And there are something called as Vakra ragas. So Vakra ragas are those ragas in which the Arohana and Avarohana are in a zigzag form. So we know of many ragas like that. Kannada. Sari ga ma da ni sa sa ni pa ma ga ma ri sa. Right? So it is belongs, it is born from the parent ragam Karahara Priya, but the Arohana and Avarohana of Kannada is zigzag. Similarly, Vegada, similarly, Natakuranji, Sri Ragam. So many Ragams we know that which do not have the Arohana and Avarohana in a sequential order, right? So those Ragams are called as Vakra. So Upanga, Bhashanga, and Vakra Ragas. Okay, so now how do you identify a Ragam? Right? So when you hear a song or a kriti or a varnam playing, how do you identify which ragam it is? So there are some pointers which will help you understand very easily. So the lot of students initially struggle with understanding what ragam it is. How do I find out what ragam it is? One, you can listen to a lot of different types of compositions which will help you understand and compare. Okay, this ragam sounds similar to this sounds similar to that. That is one way. But there are some pointers or some tips which will help you navigate through how to understand, to find out what the ragam is. So first is baseline shruti of that ragam. Where is the position of sa, right? Try to identify the swarasthanas. What re is coming in that? What ga is coming in that? Right? For that, first you should know what is the difference between Re1 and Ga1, right? So you try to identify the swarasthanas. Is it Re1 or is it Ga1? What is the Ma coming in it? What is the Da coming in it? So that is the second way. Third one, see if there are any swarams missing when you're singing. So if you listen to something in Mohanam, you will be able to clearly know that there is no knee in this. There's no Ma. I cannot hear the sound of Madhyamam. I cannot hear the sound of Nishadam. So that is one more way you can find out, is there any swarams missing? If so, what is the swaram that is missing? Okay, try to write the Arohana and Avarohana. Try to write, okay, in ascending order, I can probably hear all these Swarasthanas. So let me write it down. So that will also help you. Try to match the ragam of the song with the ones that you already know. So when you learn Varnams, you'll be learning close to 12 to 14 Varnams. So when you come to the Kriti stage, it's very easy for you. Okay, this sounds like Kalyani Varnam. This sounds like Sri Raga Varnam. So that is another easy way for you to compare to the ones that you already learned. Okay, if you find out that it is a Sampurna Ragam, try to find out the Ragam from the Melakarta list. Okay, so I find this is the Re, this is the Ga, this is the Ma. So how do I know? Let me go and check the table, 72 Melakarta table. So all these are skills that cannot be developed overnight. Let me stress on that. It cannot be developed overnight. You should have ardent hearing, the willingness to listen to a lot of music, the passion to find out the ragams, uh, the enthusiasm to learn different types of ragams. Only this is the next step that a learner goes through. One step is about just learning what is being taught to you. The second step belongs to finding out what you're learning. Why is it sounding like this? Why should it not sound like this? Why is these two things sounding same? Do you think I can find out the ragam? Do you think I can find out the parent ragam? That comes with a lot of listening and a lot of trying to find out where the ragam belongs to, etc. So if it is a Janya ragam, find the ragam that is familiar. If not, find out the parent ragam. So these are a lot of pointers or tips for you to understand, to suddenly know, to identify the ragam. So the most easiest way is to try to relate it to the ones that you already have learned, already know. Okay, all right. So how do you know whether you are singing in Shruti? Okay, so Shruti is nothing but the scale or pitch that you are singing. Okay, so the easiest way to know that you're singing in Shruti or not. Some people do not know, some students or the learners do not know that they are going out of pitch. So unless being told, being stopped and told, you know what, you're going singing out of Shruti, please sing in Shruti. So how do you know? So constant hearing to the Shruti box. So have always, that's what I insist all my students and who are not my students also, whenever you practice, always have an ear to the Shruti box. Never practice without a Shruti box. Why? Because if you get habituated to practicing without a Shruti box, you will not know when you go out of Shruti. Right? So what is the easy way? You know that Shruti box produces the tone sa pa sa sa pa sa. That's what comes out of your Tanpura app or your Shruti box. So when you're singing your kritis or your varnams or your basic lessons, try to match it with the Shruti box. Are you in Shruti? You will very clearly know. So when you have an ear to the Shruti box while singing, automatically you know it is normal for you to go out of Shruti. But what is not normal is continuing to sing that way or not knowing that you have gone out of pitch. So the easy way is to always have, and during your practice, it's okay to have the Shruti box in a much higher volume so that you can easily listen to it and know when you are uh, singing. So what constitutes Shuddha Sangeetam or pure music is that when your talam, when your ragam and your bhavam is the way you present it. So all these are in sync with each other. That's what gives the output of Shuddha Sangeetam. Okay, all right. So we are going to a totally new uh, part of the session now. So any doubts till here? Any questions? So the previous session, I had questions in almost every slide. I had people. So any doubts up until here?
I have one question on the slide
Yes.
we had about the Sankhya. There were notes on the side which reference some mathematic things about the usage of pi and trigonometric series. I don't
Yes.
understand that.
Yeah, okay. So Katapayadi Sankhya is also used outside of music. I'm not a math student, so I would not be able to explain how it is used in maths, but in the theoretical knowledge that I have, it has been used in trigonometry and also to derive the value of pi. The the same formula has been used. Probably any mathematics students could probably be able to understand or explain this, but this was just mainly to refer that this formula, this Katapayadi Sankhya or this Katapayadi formula does not belong to the music realm alone. It belongs to, it is being used outside music as well. That is just what I wanted to convey. But how it is exactly used is something that I do not know because I am not a math student. So I think you should be able to do, you will have to do a research more on that, Revati. But
No problem.
yeah, so what I wanted to tell you was that this formula does not just belong to music. Yes, it is
Math,
being
it
used.
belongs to
Yes,
maths
yes,
as well. Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Okay, so assuming that none of you have doubts up till now, we move on. Okay, so the greatness of our composer. So it's as a beginner, as a learner of music, it's highly important. You know, there are a lot of composers in music, so it is a never-ending topic to know about the innumerable composers that we have. But there are some composers whose compositions are learnt a lot and who are popularized more, who has come forward more. So they are the following composers who belong to the medieval age, that is the 10th century to the 18th century. We all know of our music Trimurtis or Vadyakaras who are Sri Tyagaraja, Muthuswami Dikshitar, and Shama Shastri. Okay, so Tyagaraja Kritis, his Kritis were mostly written on Lord Rama. He was a huge devotee of Lord Rama. So you find Lord Rama featuring in almost most of his kritis. Okay, and Dikshitar has written in all his compositions in almost all deities, but he was a Sri Vidya Upasakar, so he wrote a lot of his kritis on Ambal or Devi, or in Telugu we say Ammavaru. No? So in Dikshitar's kritis, you find a lot of reference to Kamakshi of Devi in his kritis. Similarly, Shama Shastri also wrote on a lot of deities, and he also wrote lot of kritis on Goddess Kamakshi. Okay, so these composers had their signature, so there was nothing like copyright protection back then. So how did the composers leave their mark or leave their name in the composers was something called as compositions was something called what we call as mudra. Mudra in music means signature. So how do you know it is a Tyagaraja Kriti? How do you know it is a Dikshitar Kriti? So the composers left their signature along with the Kriti in the lyrics itself. They left there uh, to show that it was it is their work, or it is their way of conveying that it is their work. So in Tyagaraja Kritis, very evidently in the Charanam, you get Tyagarajanuta, Tyagaraja Vinuta, Tyagaraja Vaibhava. So his name features in most of his kritis, almost everything. His name comes. So if you find the word Tyagaraja in the kriti, it is very clearly known that it is written by Saint Tyagaraja. Similarly, Muthuswami Dikshitar kritis have the word Guruguha. So he used the word Guruguha in almost all his kritis. Also to notice, you can a very interesting fact is that Dikshitar used raga names, the old raga names also. So in most of the Dikshitar's kritis like Vatapi Ganapatim, you can find the word Hamsadvani that comes. Okay, so in lot of his kritis, you can also see the ragam name feature in his kritis. That is one very distinct feature of Muthuswami Dikshitar's kritis. In Shama Shastri's kritis, he wrote the word Shama Krishna. So his mudra or his signature was Shama Krishna. Similarly, Purandaradasa, who was the Sangita Pitamaha. Sangita Pitamaha, why is he called Sangita Pitamaha? Because he was the one who consolidated all the basic exercises that a learner learns, the Sarli verses, Janta verses, Alankarams, Geetams, everything was compiled and structured by Purandaradasa. So he was this also known as the Sangita Pitamaha. So his compositions, his kritis, you get the word Purandara Vithala. That was his mudra. Similarly, Swati Tirunal. Swati Tirunal was the king of Travancore. So in his kritis, you find the word Padmanabha or Pankajam, Padumanabha, Pankajanabha. The word, those two words feature in his kritis as his mudra. Annamacharya. Annamacharya was from Andhra Pradesh. So he wrote more than 32,000 kirtanas. Unfortunately, only 12,000 kirtanas are what is there. Lot of them got lost in the manuscripts because it was written in those age-old traditional way of writing. So a lot of them were lost, lot of them were not passed on. So in a lot of ways, the complete compositions of all these Vagyakaras are not available now. So Annamacharya in his kritis, you can find the word Venkata. So Venkata is a word that features in his kriti as his mudra. Jayadeva. Jayadeva wrote a very famous work, Gita Govindam, which comprises of Ashtapadis, 24 Ashtapadis. So his why are they called Ashtapadis? Because each of those compositions have 8 paragraphs. So Ashta means 8, Padis means paragraphs. So his 24 Ashtapadis is a very, very famous work on Lord Krishna, which he has written in his book, Gita Govindam. Again, the Tamil composer Aruna Girinadhar, who has written innumerable Tiruppugal, close to 16,000 Tiruppugal, only 22,000 of them are available to us right now. So he wrote in Chanda Talam. Chanda Talam is nothing but the talam that's not what we learn in our regular music. Chanda Talam are those talam in which the talam is based on the lyrics. So any Tirupur students here would probably easily understand that the talam is purely based set to the lyrics. So in Carnatic, mainstream Carnatic music, we have both talam and the composition going hand in hand. But in Tirupugar, which Arunagiri wrote, he used Chanda talam, which means the lyrics were written and the talam was set based on the lyrics. He wrote on Lord Muruga. Okay, so Sri Tyagaraja's the Tyagaraja kritis are supposed to be, we say that it has draksha rasam, which means draksha means grapes. It is easy to just eat grapes, right? So most of his kritis are extremely easy to learn. They are simple. They are for written on Lord Sri Rama and very, very simple format. Hence, they are called as Daksha Rasam, which means it's very easy to understand. Muthuswami Dikshitar Kritis are called Nalikera Rasam, which means that it is referred to a coconut. A coconut, you just cannot eat it, right? You need to peel it, break it, grate it, whatever. The process is much more difficult, right? So Muthuswami Dikshitar Kritis are not very easy to learn, and mostly the lot of all the gurus say that they have to be learned, passed on from the guru. Self-learning Of course, there are many people who are doing it right now, but mostly Muthuswami Dikshitar kritis are suggested to be learned directly from the Guru. Shama Shastri kriti, Katali Rasam, which means it is referred to a banana. Just have to peel it and have it. A little bit more complicated than Tyagarajas, but again, quite easy for any student to learn. So Sangita Pitamaha or Purandar Dasa, so he was the one who classified the talams. There were 108 talams available before, and he was the one who classified and brought it into the 35 thala scheme, which we will be learning it now in the further slides. But he was the one who created Abhyasa Ganam, the basic music lessons, Alankarams, Geetams, Swarajati, etc. Okay, and he was the one who had formulated that Mayamala Gaula to be used as the first ragam for structural learning. So he is also called as the Sangita Pitamaha. Of course, we cannot ignore all the other famous composers who have given innumerable compositions. Papanasan Sivan, Patnam Subramania Iyer, Muthuswami, Muttaya Bhagavatar. So below them you can see their mudras. So Papanasam Shivan, his kritis Ramadasan. The word Ramadasan comes and most of his kritis are in Tamil. Patnam Subramania Iyer, Venkateshwara comes in his kritis. Muttaya Bhagavatar, Harikesha. Harikeshanallur, Muttaya Bhagavatar. So Harikesha, the word comes very frequently in his kritis. In his kritis, that was used as his mudra. Okay, Mahavaidyanath Iyer, Guha Dasa. Kotishwara Iyer, Kavi Kunjara Dasa. So when you learn a lot of compositions, you will know that the composers have left their signatures or mudras in their kritis to show that it is their work. Okay, all right. So now we have learned about the composers. There are a lot more other composers, but these are the basic ones we could have an overview about. So there are what is next is the compositions. So how are the compositions structured? So we have all learned varnams and geetams and side by side a lot of other kritis also, right? So the structure of compositions, they are structured in this format: Pallavi, Anupallavi, Muktaiswaram, Charanam, and Chitaswaram. Okay, so the first half, the Pallavi, Anupallavi, and Muktaiswaram of any composition, irrespective whether it is a Varnam or whether it's a Geetam or whether it is a Swarajati or a Kirtana or a Kriti, it is called the Purvangam. Purvangam is Purva. Purva Angam. Angam means part. So the first part of the Kriti is called as the Purvangam. The composition, not Kriti, but first part of the composition is called as Purvangam, and the second part is called as the Uttarangam. So when we talk musically, we do not usually refer as, no, sing the first part. We always say sing the Purvangam, sing the Uttarangam. So what is a Purvangam? Pallavi, Anupallavi, Muktaswaram. What is Uttarangam? Charanam and Chittaswaram. So we are learning a lot of type of compositions. So how many type of compositions are actually there in music? This is for you to understand the different types of compositions in music. Geetam, that you have already learned. The first, after your basic swara exercises of Swarli Varsas, Janta Varsas, Alankarams, you learn Geetam. How do you know it? What is the characteristic or the structure of a Geetam? It does not have a particular Pallavi, Anupallavi, or Charnam. It does not have a format like that, right? There are two types of Geetams, normal Geetams and the Lakshana Geetams. They are generally devotional in nature, okay? And they are very good for your basic level of practice. You learn all your basic Geetams. They are extremely good for any singer, learner, or for you to practice your basic lessons. Okay, the second form is the Jati Swaram. It is also called as the Swara Pallavi. Okay, so it is taught after Geetams and it does not have any Sahityam. Sahityam is nothing but the lyrics that come below the Swaram, that is called the Sahityam. So usually they don't have lyrics, and it has Pallavi, Anupallavi, and some Charanams. Okay, so we have the other type of composition is the Swarajati. Swarajati is something that all of you have learned, right? Just like Jati Swaram, it is similar in the structure, but it has lyrics or it has Sahityam. So we have learned the most popular ones: Rara, Venu, Gopa, Bala, Samba, Shiva, and a lot of Swarajatis. And Swarajatis are mostly used in dance. Okay, so after Swarajati comes the Varnams. So Varnams is the intermediate level of learning. So Varnams, you have not only it is melody centric. It has very few lyrics. When you notice, compared to your Geetams or Swarajatis, which has a lot of lyrics, Varnams give more emphasis to the Ragam, give more emphasis to the Swarams. You'll find the words. You'll find a very small line comprising of the complete Pallavi. Right? The words are very sparsely used in a Varnam. So it is all melody centric, and all aspects of the Ragam and the Raga Bhavam comes in a Varnam. Okay, so we know only of about 200 Varnams that seem to exist. Of course, there are a lot of new age composers who are composing Varnams, who are continuing to compose Varnams, which few are we know of and we don't know of. Okay, so how is a Varnam structured? All of you will be knowing Pallavi, Anupallavi, Muktaiswaram, Charanam, or the Charanaswaras, which is also called as the Chitraswaras. Okay, so the next is a Kriti. All right, so Kriti is, let me also tell you that both Kriti and Kirtana are not the same. We have a lot of learners, or a lot of musicians, or a lot of singers have the habit of using both the word Kriti and Kirtana interchangeably as the same one. No, Kriti is completely different and Kirtana is completely different. So Kriti has a particular structure. They are raga centric compositions. They have variations, sangatis. So you know of variations, right? So when you sing a Kriti, the same line comes in different forms or different tunes or different progressions. They are called as sangatis. Okay, so the sahitya could be bhakti rasa or singara rasa or veer rasa. So the sahityam can either be devotional, or it can be beautifying or showing beautification of any deity, or it can be showing veera rasa. So the theme of the kriti can be anything. Okay, and most of the kritis will have mudras in their charanam. What we learned just before, this mudras is the identity or the signature of the composers. Whereas kirtana, they are much older than kritis, which means kirtanas came much before kritis. Kritis are more structured form of compositions, whereas kirtanas are basically, they came before kritis. They gave more focus to lyrics. So in kirtanas, you tend to have pallavi and lot of charanams. They do not have a proper structure of pallavi, anupallavi, and one charanam. Lot of lyrics, which means lot of charanams means lot of lyrics, right? And they were mostly bhakti centric. They were mostly devotional. They were used in dramas. They were used generally to sing as well. But the kirtanas and kritis are not the same. They are very different. Okay, so this is a basic difference between a kriti and a kirtana. So like I mentioned, kriti is much more organized and much more structural. It has a pallavi, it has anupallavi, it has a muktaiswaram, which is optional based on the composer, and it has one charanam or more, very rarely. Kirtanams, however, has pallavi, and very rarely do they have anupallavi. It's an optional. Muktaiswaram is also very rare, and it has charanam or samishti charanam. Samishti charanam is one charanam. Charanams, many charanams. So we know of Anamacharya Kritis. Anamacharya Kritis, they are not called Kritis. See, the Anamacharya Kirtanas, they are not measured as Kritis. So Anamacharya's compositions are Kirtanas because they have Pallavi and they have many charanams. Okay, so the key focus of a Kriti is mostly music. So the music or the ragam or the raga bhavam is what is focused by the composer when the kritis are composed, whereas in kirtanam the more focus was given to lyrics. It has a lot of sahityam in it, lot of charnams and lot of wordings. So the focus completely was different. Kritis give ragam more importance, and kirtana gives lyrics or the sahityam more important. Okay, so this is the difference between the kriti and a kirtana. So we have something called as padam. Padam is again used in dance. They are very slow forms of this one. I'm so sure dance learners like Samiksha will understand. Shruti, Samiksha, you will know what Padam is. Padam is used in dance. They are slow. They give more chance for abhinayam. They give more chance for the dancer to explain or to narrate an event. So Padam has Pallavi, Anupallavi, Charanas. It's used for musical dramas and also mostly used in dance. And usually the lyrics are composed in such a way that they bring out the relationship between the Nayaka and Nayaki. So it is the Jivatma or Paramata Krishna and Gopikas. So the theme is mostly based on the relationship between the Nayaka and Nayaki, so which also refers that it is used a lot in dance. Javali. Javali again is similar to Padam, but it is in a faster tempo. So Padams are usually extremely slow, extremely dragging, but Javalis are much more brisk, much more active. So yes, very similar to Padam. Their language is very simple. Whereas when we, for a dancer to explain an event or to showcase an event, the lyrics, simple lyrics enable them to do it much easier, right? So Padam and Javali usually when they are used in dance, they have a very simple language in them. So mostly Sringara Rasam. Sringara Rasam means the theme of it is mostly beauty of the Lord, beauty of nature. It can be any, the theme can be anything, but it mostly brings out Sringara Rasam. So it has Pallavi, Anupallavi and Charan. So Tillana is again another form of composition which mainly consists of swaras, sahityas and jatis. What are jatis? Tam, deem, all those type of words come in Tillana. They are very lively, they are fast. Again, they are used both in music and dance. They also have Pallavi, Anupallavi and Charam. So Tillana is also one form of composition which when you listen to vocal concerts or music concerts which happen, they are sung at the end of the concerts. Tilana has swarams, it has sahityams, it also has these jatis like tam, dheem, tum. So they are not only used for music, they are also used for dance. Daruku again is similar to Padam. They are slow, they have a lot of lyrics, they have a lot of charanams, they are sung in medium tempo, and they are again used in dance. This is to give you an overview. So you should not think that there are only Varnams and Kritis or Kirtanas. No, there are a lot of forms of compositions. Geetam, Jati Swaram, Swarajati, Varnam, Kriti, Kirtana, Padam, Javali, Tillana, and Daru. So these are the forms or the types of compositions that exist in music. Okay, all right. So we come to the next topic called the gamakas. So we all know, right? When we sing, we have gamakas, which is nothing but the oscillation of swaras, the swaras which we drag or we give an oscillation to. What are these gamakams? Yes, any doubt in the previous lesson? Okay. All right. So these are nothing but the ornamentation of swaras. Okay. So there are a lot of types of gamakas, which I will not again go deep into because a lot of you haven't reached the stage of understanding it. But these, according to Sangeeta Ratnakara, there are 15 gamakas, which is also called as Panchadasa gamakas. There are different types of gamakas, and they are identified as 15 in number. Okay, so these are the names of the gamakas. This probably we will understand as we go deeper into learning Akritis and Raga Lapras. We'll understand what these ragams are, these gamakas are. Tirupam, Spuritam, Kampitam, Ma, Pa, in your Begada, that is a Kampita gamakam. Padapama, Mapamama, that those type of swaras are called as Puritam. So there are lot of types of gamakam. So these are categorized as 15 in number, which is called as the 15 gamakas or the Panchadasa gamakas. So what you should know is that there is not just one gamakam, there are 15 different types of gamakas. Okay, all right. So right from after gamakams, we are moving on to introduction of talam. So talam is also one of the very important or uh, uh, main part of music, right? This music does not exist without a talam. You cannot sing or should not rather sing without a talam. So what is a talam? What are the types of talams? How is a talam categorized? So that's what we'll be learning here. So the talam is divided into three angas. Angas means in Sanskrit parts. So whenever you put a talam, you have three parts to it. Okay, this is for you to easily understand what talam it is, how to put that talam. So this, for that understanding, it is divided into three parts. So let's take our first basic talam which we learned, right? The Adi talam. So we have it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how we learned an Adi talam, right? So the first half of the talam, the first is called the Lagu. This portion, when we beat and we count the fingers, it is called as Lagu. And in music, it is denoted by the number 1. So whenever you see above the alankaras written 1, it means that it is the laghu. Okay, so the second part of the talam is the dhrutam. Dhrutam is nothing but what you beat and turn. So what you beat and turn is called the dhrutam, and it in music is referred with the number 0. And the next one is anudhrutam. Anudhrutam is nothing but half of dhrutam, which means just beat, we don't turn. So the beat and count of fingers is laghu, the beat and turn of hand is dhrutam, and when you don't turn your hand, we just put a beat, half of dhrutam is called as the anudhrutam. Okay, so there are 7 basic talas which we have learned in alankarams, right? So all of you must be knowing the 7 sapta tala alankaras which we have learned. So you have dhruva talam, madhya talam, rupaka talam, jhampa talam, triputa talam, atatalam, and ekatalam. So how are these 7 talas? How did we arrive to these 7 talas is what we are going to learn. Okay, so now these talams that we put, also you would have noticed that there will be, the talam will not just be written as dhruva talam, you would note that it is written chaturasra jati dhruva talam. So what is jati? Jati is very simple. So there are 5 types of jatis in a talam. Tisra 3, chaturasra 4, khandam 5, misram 7, and sankirnam 9. Jati is nothing but how many counts we put in our finger is nothing but the jati. So Adi Talam we put 1, 2, 3, 4. So how what jati is it? It is Chaturasra jati. So if in Triputa Talam we put 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what jati is it? 3, Tisra. So based on how much count we put in Laghu we spoke about it, right? The first half of the Talam. So based on how much count, how many countings, number counts we have for Laghu is what determines the jati. So if we have 3, it is called Tisra jati. If we have 4, Chaturasra. If we have 5, Khanda. And if we have 7, Misra. And if we have 9, it is Sankirna jati. Okay, so these 5 jatis, when applied to each of this talam, it comes to 35 talas, which is the Suladi Sapta talas, which we say the 35 talas scheme in music. So there are 35 talas. There were a lot of other talas before, but they were condensed into 35 talas. And how this 35 talas came was by applying these 5 jatis to all these 7 talas. So in the old system, there were 108 talas. Okay, and we also spoke about the Chanda talas in Tirupur. So this 108 talas were condensed and structured and made into the 35 tala scheme. So how do you know what is the 35 tala scheme? So these jatis, 5 jatis. Now when we have the 7 talas which we learned in Alankarams, right? Dhruva, Madhya, Rupaka, Jampa, Triputa, Atatalam, Ekatalam. So when these 5 jatis are put to these Dhruvatala. So for instance, Dhruvatala that we learned in our Alankarams is Chaturasra jati Dhruvatala. So it will come here. So what is the numbering here? 1, 4, 0, 1, 4, 1, 4, which means Laghu has 4 counts. 0, it has a Dhrutam. 1, 4 Laghu, 1, 4 Laghu. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Triputa Talam. We learned Triputa Talam, right? Tisra Jati Triputa Talam. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So how is the numbering given here? 1, 3, 0. That is Dhrutam 0. We denote it by the number 0, right? So another Dhrutam 0. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is Adi Talam? Adi Talam is Chaturasra Jati Triputa Talam. Nothing but putting 4 counts to the Triputa Talam gives rise to Adi Talam, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this, when we put Chaturasra, that is 4 beats for Laghu, for the Triputa Talam, it gives rise to Adi Talam. So these jatis, when this 5 jatis are added to these 7 talas, 7 into 5, 35. So you might have learned the 7 talas in your Alankarams, right? So these are nothing but the numberings. So 1011 is nothing but 1 lagu, 0 dhrutam, 1 1. Another lagu, another. This is a very easy way when it is given 101. So how do you know how to put the talam? Immediately you remember lagu is denoted by 1, 0 is nothing but dhrutam. So 101 means 1 lagu, 1 dhrutam, 1 lagu, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, this 1, 2, 3, 4, this counting depends upon what jati is given. So you should also note what jati. Chaturasra jati, Matyatalam. Tisra jati. So what, depending on what jati it is, that number of counts come to your lagu. All right. So this is what we learned about the talams. But what is a laya? So talam and laya are not the same. So talam is nothing but your physical representation of the beats. But the time between these beats are nothing but laya. So 1, 2. So between this 1 and 2, the time duration is there, no? That is called laya, or in easy words, you can say tempo. So there are 3 layas: Vilambalaya, Madhyalaya, Dhrutalaya. So we also call in regular usage Vilamba Kalam, Madhyama Kala Kritis. Means Vilamba means slow, Madhya medium, Dhruta means faster than that. So Talam and Laya are not the same. Again, a lot of people get confused between Talam and Laya. Talam is nothing but just the physical representation of beats, whereas Laya is a tempo, the tempo in which the Tala is moving, the time limit or the time frame between each beat, that is called the Laya. Okay. So before 15th century, these lagus were only in Chaturasra Jati. So these lagus, we never had Dhrutam. So this is just a fun fact to know that before 15th century, all the talams were just having lagus. We didn't have Dhrutam. Only after which they were all condensed and they were all structured and formed the 35 talas scheme. All right. So with this, we have covered all the basic terms, basic technical terms that we use in music. So all of you are free to ask any questions that you have with whatever was presented till now. Any doubts, any questions?
Before the slide,
Yeah, yeah, Danya. Yes, Aishwarya, I'll get back to you next. Yes, Danya?
last slide, the last but one, that slide actually, the voice was breaking, so I couldn't get what was the one before this. I couldn't
This
get what was being told. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So these nothing but the 5 jatis which I was mentioning about using them for the 7 talas. Okay. So when we use these 5 jatis for 7 talas, we get 35 talas. Right. So here in this table, it is nothing but I have given you physical representation, the numbering representation. So whenever you find in most of the books, you will not find what the talam is. You will just find these numbers 1011, 101, 01. So how do you know what talam it is? So I told you, right? Lagu is represented with the number 1. So moment you find 1011, it is nothing but 1 lagu, 1 dhrutam, 1 lagu, 1 lagu, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, you should also notice what jati is written. So before the talam, if it is written tisra jati, which means you will count only 3 counts in your lagu. If it is given chaturasra jati, you will count 4. If it is misra, you will count 7. Sankirna, you will count 9. So you should always note what jati it is and how many aksharas are there, how many lagus and how many drutams and how many anudrutams. So with the pictorial representation itself, a student should be able to put the okay. All right, Danya?
Yeah, okay, I understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Aishwarya.
Yes, my doubt is there any trick to remember the pitch of a particular swarasthana?
Pitch is nothing but Shruti, Aishwarya. So what Shruti you're singing in is what the pitch belongs to. Okay. So pitch has nothing to do outside your Shruti. So if you're singing in 5.5, the Swarasthana will be in 5.5 only. If you find it higher or lower, that means you're singing out of pitch or out of Shruti. Okay. It has direct relation with the Shruti that you are singing. It has nothing to do with anything that is outside what you're seeing. Okay?
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Apurva here. So when you said that laya means tempo, so does it mean that when you are singing the second speed, third speed,
Yes.
the laya increases?
Yes, exactly, Apurva. The laya increases, right? The talam, it has nothing to do with the talam. So laya is nothing but the time between each beat, right? So it is in a faster laya, it's in a faster tempo. So the speed, that's what we learned. Vilamba kalam, madhyama kalam, dhruta kalam. So they are the terms used for the lower speed, middle speed, and the higher speed. But yes, in Varnams, when you sing the first, second, and the third speed, it's nothing but the laya changes. The talam doesn't change. The tala is the same. The speed between each beat is what constitutes the laya, and that is what changes with kritis or with your speeds in your varnas. Yes, so it's the laya which changes.
So what happens to the talam? There is a change in the talam
No, the
also, right?
talam again, kalam is nothing but laya. It is not the talam. So a lot of people use both. Talam means the speed. Talam is going fast. The talam is not going fast. The laya is going fast. Talam is mere physical representation. That's it. So what you put as your beats is only the talam. What is the speed? The laya is nothing but the time duration between each of this beat is what is the tempo or the laya, right? So we are so used to using both the terms together that we say talam is moving fast. So talam is not moving fast. The laya is moving fast, but not the talam. Talam is just what you put physically. That is the talam. It has nothing to do with speed. The speed is referred as laya, and laya only is what counts as your first speed, your second speed, or your third speed. The time duration, that's all. So it has nothing to do with the tala. The tala is the same.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Any other doubts?
Ma'am, is Daruhu the last type of composition, or is there anything after Daruhu also?
No, there is nothing called as the last or the first Samiksha. I have just categorized it in a way of prominence, like in sequential order that we learn. So we start off learning with Geetams and then Swara Pallavis and Swara Jatis, right? So I've just categorized it in that way. It's not the last. Actually, Darus, Javalis, and all came much before Kritis. They are much older compositions. These are just not, it has nothing to do with what came first or what came second. It is just the type of compositions. Okay, so these are the forms of 8 forms of compositions that are there in Carnatic music. There's nothing other than that. Whatever we learn fits into either of these. Either it is a Swarajati, either it is a Varnam, either it's a Kirtana, either it is a Kriti. Okay, but the sequence in which I put does not mean that this came first and that came last. It is just the sequence in which we learn. You are learning Varnams right now. So after this, you will learn Kirtanas. So you are learning side by side, you're learning Kirtanas to some extra. After this, you will be learning Kritis. So it is just placed in the sequence of what we learn, but it has nothing to do with when it came or whether anything after that or before that. Okay? So Daru is just a part of one of the part of compositions.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Any other
I
doubts?
have a doubt in like some other slide. It was not like anywhere towards the end. It was a little bit far. But
Yeah.
can I ask?
Yeah, tell me, Danya.
Yes, the 13 characteristics of a raga. There,
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
13 characteristics of a raga, or you mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Okay.
There was a slide with the heading like that.
Yeah. Just give me a minute. Okay, so 13 characteristics, nothing but every raga has something called as lakshanam. Lakshanam means characteristic. Okay, so they are in music called as trayodasa lakshanas. Trayo means 3, dasa means 10, which is called trayodasa lakshanas. So they are nothing but every ragam has a few characteristics. Like I told you in that slide, that and when you only when you come to your ragalapana or your swarakalpana or your manodharma stage, that is when you will be able to understand all the lakshanas. So it's very difficult to give a practical example for all these things, but they are categorized into all these things in this table. Okay, so grahaswaram. starting note of the ragam. Every ragam has a particular starting note. Every ragam has a jiva swaram, a main note. Every ragam has a nyasa swaram, ending note, right? So there are some these lakshanas or these characteristics every ragam has. So every ragam has a note. So every ragam cannot be started from any swaram. If you suppose you're singing a Kamboji ragam, you cannot just start off from that. Because it's not wrong. Technically, it is not wrong, but there are some characteristics which is aesthetically pleasing for that particular ragam. So those are called lakshanas or those are called characters. So each ragam exhibits up to 13 characteristics, which is what we learned under Trayodasa Lakshanas or the 13 characteristics of the raga. So I didn't go into detail everything because we haven't reached the stage. This is just a basic course. We haven't gone into too much of we have not learned Manodharma Sangita or your Raga Alapanas or your Swarakalpanas, which is why going too much deep into this is you will not be able to understand it at this level, which is why I just touched the overview of it. Yes.
The third point of that, the third
Yes.
on the same page.
Okay. Mandara or Tara, right? Yes. So then in certain ragams, you might be, we have learned a lot of kirtanas in which we turn the Shruti into Madhyama Shruti and sing, right? Why do we do that? Because in certain ragams, the swaras don't reach beyond a point in the higher note or don't reach beyond a point. They are not structured or they are not formed that way. So those are called mandra or tara swaras. Lowest and the highest point beyond which the ragas don't expand. That is also a characteristic. So Ragam Kuranji does not go after a particular, after ni it doesn't go. Same as you have ragam, there are so many ragams which do not go beyond a certain swara. You have only, it comes only in one octave. You have certain ragas which don't have a lower or a higher octave, right? So those are also called, they also come under the characteristic or a lakshana of a ragam. So that is nothing but explained as mandra or tara. So the point, lower point or higher point beyond which the ragam cannot proceed or is not made that way. So that is also under the Trayodasa Lakshanas. Yes.
So they can go high only up to 1 point.
Yes, up to 1 point. There are certain ragas which belong to such category. Yes, yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Does Bhavayami come under that category? Is that the reason?
Yes, Apurva, you're right. It comes under that category. That's why we put it in Madhyama Shruti and we sing. Yes, Yamuna Kalyani also comes under that ragam. Beyond a point, there are Sancharam or the raga Sancharas do not expand. That is a characteristic of that ragam, which is why we put it in Madhyama Shruti because it is more pleasing to the ear to sing. Yeah, so that is the reason such ragas are put in Madhyama Shruti and sung. So yes.
So any songs in Yamuna Kalyani are like that, or is it just depending upon the song?
Yes, it most of them are in the same thing. Some it again depends upon how it is composed also. But yes, most of the Yamuna Kalyani or a Kurunji Kriti ragam in Ragam Kurunji is sung with Madhyama Shruti. Yes, most of them are composed in such a way that you put it in Madhyama Shruti and you sing it. So there are a set of ragams which come under that. Probably I will group it down and let you know. But there are a few ragams which come under such category, which the sancharas do not expand higher or lower. They are sung in one particular scale only. So that's where we put it into Madhyama Shruti and we sing. Yes. Any other doubts?
Yeah, I have a doubt regarding the Mela Karta scheme. If we can go to the slide.
Yeah.
So you were saying that the parent raga, okay, and the Janya raga is what comes from the parent raga, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So so you were talking about I don't know which one was it. Was it shard? Okay, I don't know what term was it. That is in the Janya raga, one of it is if you use a foreign note, then it is called something. So
Anyaswaram, yes.
Okay, Anyaswaram. Okay. So now let's say that if you take the Melakarta raga Maya Malava Gaula, then and your use and the Janya raga that comes in some Janya raga that comes under it. So how can you say that the Janya Raga, the whatever notes you're using, whatever Arohanam, Avarohanam, whatever comes, should be the same as what comes from the parent raga, right?
Yes.
How can it
Yes.
be? How can it be something else?
No, Janya Raga does not classify under that. So when you Janya Ragas, when it is born from a parent raga, does not mean that it should have only the swarams of the parent raga. It can have any other swaram. So those swaram, that other swaram is what makes it as makes it a Bhashanga raga, or when it takes a foreign note. Right? So Janya Raga does not have any such rule that it should have only the parent raga swarams. No, it can have any other swaram as well. But it is structured. Most of the swarams will come from what the parent ragam is. Only one swaram you may have an extra. So Bhairavi, for instance, it comes from Nata Bhairavi. Nata Bhairavi has one da, but it takes the second da also in it. So it Janya ragas do not have any compulsion that it should have only. Most of them do have the parent ragas alone, but there are many ragams which also have an Anyaswaram in it, a foreign note, which is why it is called an Anyaswaram and belongs to the category of Bhashanga raga. So Janyaswaras do not have such rule. They do have all the swarams. Most of the Janya ragas do have the parent raga swarams, but there are ragas with exceptions which have a foreign note also, and then it's allowed. So only the Melakarta ragam has to be the has 7 swarams. It should be in order and it should have only one variety. But the Janya ragas does not have any such rule. It can take any rag, any foreign one. So Kamboji also, it belongs. It is Janya of the parent ragam Hari Kamboji, which has Ni one in it. Kaisiki Nishadam. But in Kamboji, we have Kakali Nishadam also coming in the phrase. Sani pa. So Sani the is the parent ragam's Ni. But it also has Sani pa da sa. So even Kakali Nishadam comes, which does not belong to the parent ragam. So it's free to take it. There are many ragams which take Bhashanga. Saranga ragam, it takes both the mass, right? So it's not necessary that uh, it should have all the swarams of the parent ragam, but can take anything extra as well. So Janya Raga does not have any rule as such. Yes?
Okay.
Yes. Any other doubts? Anybody else?
Actually, I have one last doubt.
Yes, Danya.
About the parent ragas, it was said that there was, you said that there were 3 characters
Yes.
that they to be said like parent ragas. Again, for the first one, I was having internet issues, so
Yeah, so 72 Melakarta ragas or the parent ragas should have 3 requisites, Danya. They are one, it should be Sampurnam. Sampurnam means it should have all the 7 swaras in Arona and Avarona. We have learned lot of ragams which do not have all the 7 swaras, right? So they don't qualify as the 72 Melakartas or the parent ragams. So they should have all the 7 swaras. They should have only one swarasthana. So the Re, Ga, Ma, Da and Ni should be either Re1 or Re2. It cannot have both. Okay, and third, the Arohana and Avarona should be in the same order. It should be Sarigama Padanisa, Sanidapa Magaritsa. It should not be Sagarigama Pada. So it should not be in any zigzag form. So these are the 3 requisites that make any ragam to qualify under the Melakarta ragam. Sampurna, it should be in order and it should not have any foreign note. Okay?
yeah. The first point, it said it should have 7 swaras. So what does that mean? I just got confused.
7 swaras in the sense that it should have all the swaras. Sarigama Padani. The Arohana, Sanidapa Magari in the Avrohana. So you know a lot of ragams, right, Danya, which do not have all the 7 swaras, right? You have some swaras missing also, correct? So they don't qualify as the Melakarta ragam. So Melakarta ragam should have all the 7 Sa, Ri, Ga, Ma, Padani in both Arohana and the Avarohana. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, got it?
Got it.
Yes. Okay. So any other doubts? Anybody else?
I actually have one doubt. This is Shruti.
Yeah, Shruti, tell me.
Below the Janya Ragas category, Niroshtha Raga it's written, which means ragas which don't have ma in them. And so, what is the significance of the number 36?
There are 36 Niroshta ragams. So which is we have not learned all the 36. They are not all prevalent in our learnings, but they are identified as 36 in number. So there are 36 ragams which do not have ma in them, which do not have Mahamsadvani, right? We don't have ma in it, right? Mohanam. So they are also called as Niroshta ragas, which means that they do not have Madhyama. So there are 36 such ragas. So maybe you can do research, Shruti, and find out all the names of the 36 ragas which do not have ma in it. Okay? So significance of the number is nothing but there are 36 Niroshta ragas available to us. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Anything else? Okay, so I assume all of you have understood all the basic concepts. So this session was mainly for you to understand the basics of music theory. Okay, so it's also important as students, as learners, to know what you are singing, to not just blindly sing, to not just blindly learn what you're doing, also to understand why is it sung a particular way, why are the ragas placed in a particular. So it's a very interesting topic, music theory, and as and when we go deeper into it, there are a lot of treasures in musical theory. But this session was mainly intended for you to not shy away from learning theory and not feel that, oh, theory is such a difficult topic and I shouldn't go near it. So it's not that difficult. As and when you start understanding what you are singing and knowing the meaning behind why the music is structured the way it is, it becomes very more interesting, and you the output that you sing or the what you learn, you're able to sing it and showcase it much better. So when you, just like how you do it in your mainstream studies, when you understand something and explain it or bring out the output is much better, right? So this was mainly targeted for you to understand the basic structures, basic way music is formed. So hopefully in a session soon, we will learn the intermediary concepts, which means that we will go a little bit more deeper into what this. Today we just had an overview of what exactly is in theory of music, but there are a lot more to each of these topics. Hopefully very soon we will go into the intermediate level. Okay. All right. So assuming that all of you found this session useful and you're free to ask, anybody who shied away from asking doubts can ask me personally after the session as well. Okay, so another round of thank you to all of you for making it for this. Okay, the PDF of this entire presentation will be shared with you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
giving us
you.
the deep understanding
Thank
of
you.
what we are learning.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Thank you for all
Do
of you.
we have access to this slide,
Yes,
Madhu?
absolutely, absolutely. I'll be sharing the PDF, the entire presentation in the group that I had formed. Kindly download it in your phone. Anybody who wants it in your mails, let me know. Ping me personally and I will send it to your mailbox.
Sure.
Okay, I'll email it to you. All right? Okay?
Thank
Okay,
you.
and all, yes. Yeah? Okay. All right. Thank you for joining this.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Samiksha.
It was compiled so well and it was very useful to all of us. Yeah, thank you so much.
Purna. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm hoping that this was useful, and any doubts, whenever you go back to refer this PDF or this presentation, any doubts that you have, feel free to ask me during class, after class, other than class, anytime. Okay? All right. So I'm signing off. Thank you once again. This